You can walk a garden in under 60 seconds and already know if it's going to hurt somebody or cost you thousands. There's one check most buyers walk straight past without even clocking it, and I'll get to that. A dog that digs up and eats tulip bulbs can be looking at organ damage within a day. A hazardous tree with rot working through the middle of it can drop a limb on a shed, a car, or a person with no warning at all. Most people walk a viewing looking at the flowers and the lawn edges. The real danger is usually in what's buried, what's rotting from the inside, or what's sitting still in water. I've grown food on my own ground for 55 years, and that's 55 years of learning what's actually in the soil under it. 5 things to check. In order: plants, ground, trees, and old structures, water, and what's buried or bolted down from whoever had this place before you. Start with the flower bed. First one's easy because people think a garden center already filters this for them. A foxglove comes in a 2-liter pot with a cheerful label and nothing on it about your heart. Foxglove and yellow oleander carry cardiac glycosides, and those bind onto the sodium-potassium pumps in your heart muscle cells, the wiring that keeps a heartbeat steady. Chew a leaf or a flower, and you throw that wiring off. Not stomachache, a slowed or irregular heartbeat from a small mouthful. Walk the borders. Look for foxgloves, spotted throat spikes, anything oleander type, and then look down. Bulbs and seed pods carry a far more concentrated dose than a leaf, and that's what a digging dog or a toddler finds first. I've never trusted a dog to leave a toxic plant alone out of instinct. Curiosity beats caution every time I've seen it. A dog on tulip bulbs, a cat on lily leaves, vomiting, drooling, flat within hours. With the cardiac ones, that irregular heartbeat is a vet visit, not a wait and see. 1 or 2 plants doesn't make a garden deadly on its own. A big oleander a toddler can reach is real, the same plant behind a fence isn't. But you're not a botanist on a viewing, and misidentifying a plant cuts both ways. If you can't trust your eye on the plants, what does that tell you about the ground underneath them? Same problem, worse odds. A lawn can be thick and green, the borders thriving, and none of it tells you what's in the first 2 inches of soil. Lead and arsenic don't stunt growth. They don't discolor the dirt. A good-looking garden can be carrying more of both than the patchy one next door. Lead specifically moves as dust. A kid on bare soil, hands in the mouth, week after week. That's the pathway, not the plants. And it's slow. It interferes with a child's neurological development over time. And in adults, it can mean high blood pressure and kidney strain after years of it. No drama on day 1, so forget how healthy the place looks. Ask if it's an older part of town, near an old road or work site, with bare, dusty ground a child could dig in. My garden's only a few years old, maybe, but new turf often sits straight on old industrial land or an old orchard. Ask what the plot was before. A lead test strip on a suspect patch takes under 10 minutes and flags whether it's worth a proper lab test. Orchard land carries a slower one again, arsenic, and one material out there does nothing until the day you disturb it, and then it's airborne. Old orchard ground doesn't announce itself. Arsenic from decades of orchard spray sits in that soil, and it won't make anyone sick this week or this year. It works through small doses over and over, from bare soil on your hands or produce that never got a proper wash. Nobody's collapsing in the vegetable patch. That's exactly why people wave it off. So if you know the ground was orchard once, treat bare soil contact and unwashed homegrown veg as the thing to manage, not a reason to write off the whole plot. That gray cement sheet, half buried by the fence, is different. Left alone, it does nothing. The trouble starts the moment somebody digs it up, breaks it, drills into it. Then its fibers in the air, sitting in lung tissue for decades before anything shows. And I'll say this plainly, that's past a home gardener's job. You don't reach for a crowbar, you stop digging, leave it alone, and get a licensed surveyor out first. Some of you just want the plants, not a house problem. But garage roofs, old outbuildings, the ground under your feet, that's exactly where this turns up. Soil warns you if you're patient. Trees don't. They can go all at once. Big and old is not the same as sound. Most people walk past a huge tree at the back of a garden and take its size as proof of health. It isn't. A tree turns dangerous when decay works through the middle of the trunk, or the roots get damaged, or a big limb is only weakly joined where it meets the trunk, and any of those can reach a point where the wood can't hold anymore under wind or rain or just its own weight. The tree can still be green, still in full leaf, and be rotten through the core. So walk the base. Look for bracket fungi, conchs, growing out of the trunk or the roots, fungus fruiting on wood that's already broken down inside. Look for a big sunken canker. Look at the ground round the base, and if the grade sits lower than you'd expect, that can mean the roots underneath are damaged. I think of a conch the same way I think of rot in a fence post, sound on the outside, gone where the work is actually done. A tree like that over a shed, a car, a person, doesn't warn you first. It drops a limb in a storm, nothing beforehand. See those signs near the house or the drive? Get a certified arborist out before you commit. Trees at least give you something to look at. Water gives you almost nothing. That little ornamental pond, 3 foot by 5, a foot deep, fountain, a few koi. People look at that and think too small to matter, too shallow to matter. That's exactly backwards. A child doesn't need to go in over their head. They trip at the edge or wander over alone, and the sides are often steep or slick with algae, and once they're down they can't get a grip to climb back out. Shallow water covers a toddler's airway just fine. No thrashing, no shouting, none of what you'd expect from a film. It's quiet. That's what makes it worse. So judge the pond by what stops someone getting in and what stops them getting out. A gate that closes itself. Sloped sides, not a sheer drop with slime on the concrete. And if you're thinking, no kids in my house, this doesn't apply to me, it does. Grandkids visit. Neighbors' kids climb fences. A dog goes in after a ball and can't scramble out over a hard lip. Unfenced water is a hazard for whoever turns up next. Water fails quietly on top of the ground. Underneath it, there's a failure worse still. A septic soak-away going wrong doesn't just flood the lawn. It floods it with something you don't want your dog rolling in. Here's the Titan version. Cut to plan length while keeping every plan element and the same close. Now, here's the part I want to be straight with you about, because it's the one mistake I won't make on my own ground. Say you've walked the beds, checked the bare patches, looked at the trees, looked at the water, and nothing jumped out. That doesn't mean the garden's clean. Lead doesn't turn a lawn yellow. Arsenic doesn't stunt a rose bush. Buried asbestos sheet doesn't show on the surface at all. A thriving, established garden can sit over exactly the same contamination as a bare, patchy one. 55 years of growing food on my own ground, and a good eye still can't see through soil. That's what a test kit and a lab report are for. Underneath, there's a second failure that's just as invisible. A septic soak-away that's failed can saturate the ground until the pipes or the soil around them give way, and an illegal one, a borehole or a crate system, can concentrate raw effluent enough to contaminate groundwater or undermine what's built nearby. You won't smell that on a viewing. Ask when the ground was last opened up and whether the soak-aways ever failed or been replaced. A good-looking garden is unproven, not cleared, and the figures I've been giving you through this video, the costs, the soak-away rules, those are UK ones. If you're outside the UK, check your own country's rules on septic systems, creosote, and soil limits before you take any figure from this video as gospel. But the mechanism doesn't change by postcode. Sewage still carries the same pathogens. Decay still hollows out a trunk the same way. A cardiac glycoside does the same thing to a heart in Ohio as it does in Yorkshire. So here's the walk, put together, one lap. Borders and pots first, low down, for anything foxglove shaped or oleander shaped, and whether the bulbs or seed heads sit where a dog could dig them up. Then the bare patches of soil, the dusty corners, nothing's growing in. Then anything gray and flat and sheet-like near a garage or outbuilding, or dark timber that looks tarred rather than painted. You don't touch either, you just note them. Then the trunk and canopy of anything big enough to hurt someone if it came down. Then the edges of any water, however small, and whether a child or a dog could get in and not get back out. 5 checks, 1 lap. And I'll say this plainly. A garden isn't deadly because it fails one of these. It's deadly because of what's dangerous and who's standing near it. Price it out locally before you decide which. That's the job. Tell me honestly in the comments, of these 5, which one did you actually check on your last garden viewing, and which one never crossed your mind until right now? I'd like to know which one people miss. And whatever you do next, walk the ground before you walk the flower beds.